Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Padawan Podcast, brought to you by Apocalypse Movies. I am Jake Berlin, your host, a.k.a. Qui-Gon Jake. I am included today by my fellow Rebel scum, Gio Ramos and Jacob Bartley. How's it going, fellas?
Greetings. This is C3GO, Human Cyborg Relations. What's happening? I love Star Wars, man. I watched Star Wars last 2 weeks.
As we all do. Jacob, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm Grand Moff Bartley, by the way.
All right, so welcome back to the Padawan Podcast. If you caught our last episode last week, we are now on to the road to The Force Awakens. And our second episode of reviewing all Star Wars movies. Today we're going to be talking about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Episode 4, A New Hope. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to review the films. We're going to talk about the positives and negatives, overall thoughts, and our first encounter with the films all those years ago.
It's kind of funny how we're doing a prequel movie and
we've been looking forward to this. This is probably our favorite one.
Original trilogy because it's cool to look at that jump. You know?
Yeah, so we're gonna start. I'm gonna start with you, Jacob, with Revenge of the Sith. What was your first memory of watching the film? Did you watch it in theaters, and what was your first reaction to the movie?
It's weird because I remember, like I told you guys last time, I remember going to the theater to watch the first two. I don't remember going to the theater to watch Revenge of the Sith. It just must have slipped my mind. I think there were some other things going on, but I remember really enjoying it, like back then. And the big thing was the Mustafar. It's like the whole thing on Mustafar, the last like 30, 45 minutes on Mustafar. Mm-hmm. So that was like the biggest thing I remember. But no, I enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed the first two prequels. I absolutely loved it when I was a kid. Back then I didn't know it, but typically it's considered the best of the prequels among most people. It's weird. I have less memories of this movie than the other two, but
it's strange because it's the last released Star Wars movie.
And I was the oldest when this movie came out, so I don't remember. I remember sitting on the couch and watching it at home, but I don't remember going to. Maybe I didn't go to theaters to watch it. I don't know, but I just remember loving the dialogue between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Their relationship's great.
And I remember, and I always remember the scene when Anakin cuts off
Mace
Windu's hand, and then the Emperor kills him. Like that, those two things stuck with me the most, and I thought it made me I don't want to say fear Anakin, but it was just like whoa, he killed Mace Windu, or he helped the Emperor kill Mace Windu. That's crazy, but
one at a time. I don't know if we realized that he was going to be Darth Vader at the moment, because we were younger, we didn't really realize.
Well, I knew.
Well, yeah, but it didn't really hit you until that moment.
I know what you mean. We didn't see him as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Until that moment. So I get what you're saying, but I knew from the first movie that was young Darth Vader. But I get what you're saying. We didn't see him as Darth Vader. We only saw him as Anakin.
Yes.
At that point. So it was a shock to us. Oh my God, our hero, who they're trying to present this to us as our hero, is turning bad now. So it was such a big, significant moment in all the Star Wars movies. That was his turn right there.
Well, and the way it went down with all the younglings,
killed the Jedi Master,
the Jedi Temple, and all that kind of stuff.
It's a very dark film.
That
very dark.
45-minute sequence, extremely dark.
Darker than Empire, I think.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far.
It's the first.
We're not seeing kids slaughtered.
That's very true. That's very true.
It's the first Star Wars movie to be rated PG-13.
Yeah.
The first two are PG?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All of them are except for Revenge of the Sith. Force Awakens got a PG-13 rating too, but
that makes sense though.
But it's the only one that got a PG-13 rating.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it's weird. Like I said, I don't have as many memories of this movie, but I remember loving it just as much as the other two.
Yeah. Opposite of you. This is actually the only one I remember seeing in theaters.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know why.
I don't remember seeing episode 1 or episode 2 in theaters, but I remember going to my hometown theater with my dad, and we sat down and watched it. I remember the screening and everything. And, as a kid, obviously it's got a nostalgia factor. I loved it. It's still, to this day, my favorite prequel. Great movie. A lot of fun. A lot of dark moments, too. Like you had mentioned, the Mustafar. I can quote that entire scene from word to word all the way from beginning to end. It's weird. I can still do it to this day. The Obi-Wan and Anakin relationship is great. a lot of it's like the opening scene too. I love the opening scene with the Jedi fighters and going in to get Count Dooku and everything. It's really cool. So it definitely holds a special place to me just because it's the only Star Wars movie I've ever seen in theaters that I remember. So that's got some kind of special place for me. But Gio, what about you? I mean, do you remember seeing it in theaters? And what was your first reaction to the movie?
You know, for all this movie's problems and imperfections, it's still the episode that I'm most attached to. Ever since coming out of Attack of the Clones,
more than the original trilogy, or you just mean the prequels?
For the prequels.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I might even say for the original trilogy, because this is the trilogy that we grew up on. You know,
that makes sense.
And so as soon as I came out of Attack of the Clones, for the next 3 years, all I could think about was this movie, because you know it's the movie that we've all been waiting for. I remember waiting as a kid. I was 14 years old, and I was just every day I would spend, well, not every day, but like most days I would spend looking online for the next latest update, whether it was a photo, whether it was, you know, a teaser trailer or poster. And I remember when this poster came out, how freaked out I got, just how excited I got of seeing Anakin Skywalker and the cape with the Darth Vader mask.
Yeah.
So amazing. I think this is the film that actually started my days of looking online for movie updates, you know. I mean, I didn't, you know, IGN back there.
Small question really quick.
Yeah.
When did he get that scar? Because I was watching Clone Wars last night, and I was wondering that.
On his face?
Yeah.
I think it was during Clone Wars.
No,
Or did it
No,
happen?
it must have been in between the movies.
Did it happen?
And they didn't show us how he got it, right?
But there were books back then. Like I have a book. It's called it's called Something Evil. It's about Anakin and Obi-Wan chasing down Grievous.
So, in episode 2, he doesn't have it, right?
Not that I remember.
And he doesn't get it in episode.
Not that I
Does
remember.
Count Dooku give it to him in that last
No,
fight?
because he cuts his arm off.
Yeah, but
that's the big one.
Did he get his face at all?
I don't think so.
Sorry to cut you off, Gio.
That's all right.
I was
No,
thinking about it last
that's
night.
a big thing because when we first see him, he has the scar.
He doesn't
Yeah.
address it anywhere.
Yeah, he does have the scar when the movie does. That's a great. I
And
never
they
actually thought
they
about
don't
that.
ever address it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do they? No. All right, they don't. Anyways, what was I saying? Jesus. But anyways, yeah, being in a theater for 2 hours, it was like one of the best theater experiences I had, because it was just everything I wanted to see. Jedi battles, the fall of Anakin Skywalker, the rise of Darth Vader. It just, for 2 hours, it was just so many emotions and, you know, amazement.
There's twists and turns everywhere.
And it was also a bit of a sad feeling, because all of us were under the impression that this would be the last Star Wars movie ever. And, you know, that the Jedi would die and whatnot. And it was just like, so you went into the movie feeling a bit of sadness too. But I remember immediately after I went home, my family and I, we rewatched all 5 episodes of Star Wars because we loved it so much. So it's just memories like that, you know, that's why I'm the most attached to this movie. It's because of the build-up, the start of me researching movies, and, you know, the time I spent with my family and Star Wars. It was just really amazing. As for this movie, I mean, no matter what the negatives are, it's going to be the movie that's arguably, I might be saying it too early, but this might be my favorite Star Wars movie out of all 6. I'm rewatching Empire and Return.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
I'm rewatching. No, but I respect you for coming out and saying that.
No,
because a lot of people
definitely-
might feel that way, and
definitely.
they don't. They feel like people are gonna talk shit to them.
Well, I have it. It's my 3rd favorite.
Yeah,
it's
like,
ahead of
you
Return of the
shouldn't be
Jedi for
ashamed
me.
to
No,
admit that.
I'm not.
That's
Like,
cool that you.
It's that way because of the time, the impact, and like my personal connection with it. Like, you know, it's. I mean,
Well, we can all agree it's the best prequel, right?
Yeah, objectively, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my favorite prequel is The Phantom Menace, but as far as quality of a film, definitely.
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, regardless of whatever negatives we have, I'm always going to be attached to it. I'm always going to be excited whenever it's on TV. It's just, yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Spike TV does that Star Wars marathon all the time. So
Oh, yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
they'll do that one right before The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But we're gonna jump into our positives now and kind of talk about what we really loved and liked about the film.
This is how we see the film now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not back then. Obviously, we weren't critics back then, so we didn't know very much about
back
the
then,
details.
this film was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. So G, I'm gonna throw right back at you, man. Today, what really stands out to you as a positive? Like, what do you really like, and what do you really love about Revenge of the Sith?
Well, this is going to be a lot of you know, I'm not going to go in order from the movie from start to beginning. It's just going to be throughout times. First thing I'll say is that George Lucas, we've already said it. This is his best trilogy film in the prequel trilogy. It felt like he gave the most effort. It felt like he was on the game. I don't know if he was shaking off rust or whatnot, if he was just excited to tell this story. Like, okay, this is the point of the story where I want to tell. Okay, we're done with the romance and whatnot. Straight action. So I thought George Lucas did a very redeemable / commendable job as far as following Attack of the Clones into Revenge of the Sith.
This is pretty much the prequel he always wanted to make.
Right.
But he felt like he needed to do an entire trilogy.
And I'm just going to mention things. So the back and forth cutscenes between Anakin and Padme, as Padme is giving birth and Anakin's being built into Darth Vader, the back and forth scenes, how it goes from one to another, I thought it was great. Just seeing it all play out.
Wow, I never thought about that.
It's really tragic because you're seeing two people, you know, whose love basically destroyed the entire galaxy.
It's juxtaposition against each other, you know?
Yeah, you have a happy moment, you have a sad moment. Well, they're both really actually sad, but there's a little bit of happiness with Luke and Leia being born.
Even though it's a very sad moment, you like...
when
you hear the names Luke and Leia...
But think about it. It's while she's dying and Luke and Leia are being born, Anakin is dying and Darth Vader's being born. So it's like, it's very like... Yeah.
So much symbolism in there.
Exactly, yeah.
It was ruined by the no.
Yeah, they should have never.
That one thing. That's the only problem I have with
I almost forgot about that.
It's like, no. I mean, me back then, I was like, oh, damn, Darth Vader's really pissed. You know, but I'm looking at it today, I'm like, nah, he wouldn't say that.
He should have just kept his hands down and clenched his fists and everything just blown up around.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like,
without no words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what Darth Vader does.
Everything started crushing, you know?
Darth Vader does not yell no. Mm-hmm. Never.
I thought Anakin and Obi-Wan had great teamwork and chemistry, probably their best in the two films when they were rescuing Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah, the very beginning of the movie is very fun.
It's
probably one of my favorite parts, besides the whole lightsaber battle at the very end. That opening scene is so much fun.
I sense the trap. Next move. The trap. Oh yeah.
And it's actually funny. Like that's the first time they're like bantering back and forth, and it's funny.
They're not master and Padawan. They're brothers. Like they are brothers.
And it's weird because the Clone Wars, you see that develop, but we didn't see that back then. You know, so it's kind of cool. It makes sense where they're at in that time.
Yeah. How incredible is Ian McDiarmid in this movie? He's just phenomenal. I mean, even the slower moments, he just delivers every time. And
that voice.
Oh,
yeah, he does that evil voice. Yeah.
The scene with Anakin and Palpatine sitting down. Me and Jacob were talking about this in the car right over here. Might be the best scene out of all the 6 films because
I don't know about that. Talk about of the prequels.
The prequels, yes.
They talk about Plagueis.
Yeah.
Every line of dialogue, for as much dialogue problems as these prequel trilogy has, that scene, I mean, I don't think there's one bad thing with it, you know? Like, the acting is good, the dialogue and everything, and the tone of it.
And it's very important to, like, what's going on in the movie.
Well, that one scene can create an entire new trilogy of movies with Plagueis.
Yeah.
That dialogue. Because that opened up an entire new possibility. And it's the
only dialogue that makes Plagueis official canon, too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hayden Christensen, you know, I thought he gave a good performance, but he wasn't being asked to do too much. It's like, all right, this is the film where you're going to be very serious, you're going to be very confused, conflicted, and whatnot.
Angry.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to think though, like when he was brought on to the prequels, he was someone who, like, this was his first big break, and he was being directed by someone who's not a character director.
I actually thought he did a decent job in Revenge of the Sith, expressing those anger emotions.
Like, George Lucas, like, for all he's done, he's fabulous, he's fantastic, but he does not direct actors and actresses too well. Imagine if someone like Hayden Christensen was directed by J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson. Like, imagine what they would have gotten
Which
out of it.
I hope might happen with that rumor.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I mean, he did do a fantastic job for what he was given. And a definite step up from Attack of the Clones.
Oh, he was bad in Attack of the Clones, I thought.
Meanwhile, Ewan McGregor just completely
Oh, dude, that guy
is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That guy could be king of the universe.
Wow.
And I would I love that guy. He is so awesome.
He's incredible.
He is so awesome.
Yeah, and as we talk about Episode 4 later on, A New Hope, and we look at Ewan McGregor's performance in Episode 3 and Alec Guinness in Episode 4, it's like it's really similar, you know. Like
They go hand in hand.
What does he say? He says something in Revenge of the Sith that Alec Guinness says in the movie.
Really?
I forget what it is. Yeah,
Oh.
it's when he's going after
Grievous?
and like I think he jumps down on the platform and he says something. I forget what it is though.
says hello there.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think that's what it is. And Alec Guinness says
Oh,
that
when
in
he's
the,
okay.
He's like,
okay.
"Hello there." Alec Guinness says that in the original trilogy.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A little symbolism there.
Two other things I'll mention. One was Execute Order 66, the theme,
That was
the
tragic.
score.
That whole scene was tragic, man.
Yeah, seeing the Jedi die.
It was done very well too.
Yeah.
I thought.
One thing that John Williams' music does is it takes the scene to the next level.
Brings you in.
It brings you in, and just that whole entire sequence of seeing Jedi die. It's tragic, but John Williams' score just makes it even more. You know, it's
Yeah,
really,
some of the Jedi Order's
really,
most iconic heroes. I mean, just gone.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You see him just being killed off
Yeah.
in different ways too. It's wow. And then the last thing I'll mention is, all right, we all know the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I mean, for me, it's no matter what people say, it will always be entertaining and just awesome to watch. You know, because you're watching these two brothers just go at it. They're not holding anything back. But I thought the build-up to the fight was great. You see Padme trying to convince Anakin to stop this and come back. There's one little line of dialogue that ruins it where she says, "You're breaking my heart," and I'm just like, "You're giving me Episode 2 nightmares again," you know. But other than that, just like, and then you see Obi-Wan standing at the top, you know, and he's like, you know, "What's it gonna be, Anakin? Are we gonna fight?"
Like, you killed her. You did that yourself.
Yeah, and then they're just
man. I freaking love that scene.
Yeah, they're back and forth. The build up, I thought it was great, and then obviously the action is. I mean,
Well, this is like the real first time. I mean, we saw a little bit in Attack of the Clones, a little bit, but like legit lightsaber battling going on, like legitimate, like for a length of time. We saw it in Attack of the Clones.
Oh, like yeah.
We saw it in Phantom Menace with Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan versus Anakin, Yoda versus Palpatine, Mace Windu versus Palpatine. It's like there's a bunch of it throughout. And this is like
Dooku versus Anakin.
we saw in the very beginning. It's like it's all throughout the movie instead of just like one specific scene.
Yeah, you're right. There's in the other two. There's just like one big
scene, yeah.
lightsaber fight. There's a lot of them in this.
And actually, I have one more. The ending, how the film ends. It mirrors the famous scene from A New Hope where Anakin is looking. I mean, Luke is looking out to the horizon and sees the two suns. You see Joel Edgerton,
Uncle Owen,
his wife,
Uncle
Owen, and the baby, and they look off into the sunset. And
Yeah.
John Williams' theme is playing. It's just like, wow, talk about
foreshadowing some great
foreshadowing and ending. You know, it was amazing. So that's what I have.
No, I mean that's some great stuff. Jacob, I mean, a lot was said there. I'm sure there's gonna be a couple things rematch, but what do you think? What are some good positives for you?
Well, one thing that I really enjoyed and what puts this movie above the other two as far as quality is the tone of the film. Because Phantom Menace, while it is my favorite prequel just because, you know, Darth Maul pod race, that's all I have to say. But it's like a joke the whole time. Like, cause freaking dumb face, Jar Jar Binks. It makes the movie, like, it makes me not take it serious at all. Him and young Anakin. And then Attack of the Clones, the stupid romance going on, ruins the movie for me. This movie didn't have. I can't point to one of those things where like that stupid ass thing bothered me so much. I can't think of something like that in this movie other than maybe splitting up Anakin and. But I'll get back to that later. But just the tone is very, very dark, and it made me take the movie a lot more serious, and it made the movie more enjoyable for me overall. And I want to take Star Wars seriously. I don't want to be like disgusted as I watch Star Wars, or I would be like giggling when I watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
I want to take it seriously. So I took this film a lot more serious. I took it more seriously than Return of the Jedi. Like it's just there's some things in that movie that bother me too. But yeah, tone. Yeah, like you said, lightsaber duels. Like collectively, the best lightsaber duels in any movie because there's so many. There's the opening scene, the Count Dooku, and I love that. They both go after him at first, but then Anakin beats him by himself, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. That is awesome. And then that defining moment when he's holding the two swords and Plagueis is like, "Do it."
No, not Plagueis. Palpatine.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
I'm like, Plagueis was in there?
No, Palpatine. That's what I meant. Because we were talking about Plagueis earlier. Yeah, and like he actually does it, and you're like, damn, like you're not supposed to do that as a Jedi, you know? So that's like, I mean, we knew he was going down the dark side, but that was like a big significant moment. And I that opening scene is just incredible. It's like, you know, they're both going into battle on their ships, and they both have their droids, you know. And doesn't Obi-Wan's droid die in that scene?
Its head gets ripped off.
Yeah, and that sucks because that's the droid he has in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
that he goes to.
He wings him to the ship together.
Yeah, and like the way they're talking to each other, and it's like funny, you know. That opening scene was awesome, even though it's like an hour long almost. The longer
it was
the
be
better.
Even longer originally. But,
yeah, and then just highlight of the film, Ewan McGregor. Like he gives a good performance in all the movies, but this one he gives a great performance, and it's even better because he was directed by George Lucas, because he wasn't working with an actor's director. So the fact that he was able to give that performance without any like guidance from a legitimate director speaks volumes as to how great of an actor he is. And it's like he's giving it his all in a Star Wars movie, in a franchise movie. Speaking, like, Alec Guinness got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for A New Hope. I feel like he should have got nominated for this movie. I don't know what came out that year, who was nominated, but he gave such a great performance. Like, if Alec Guinness could get nominated, I feel like Ewan McGregor was in this movie a lot more than Alec Guinness was in A New Hope. So, like, I don't know there. But, yeah, those are my...
We also have to remember the impact Star Wars had
when
back
it first
then.
came out. Yeah, and it was like, yeah. So, yeah, those are my main positives. There's other things throughout the movie that I enjoy, but those are my main positives.
Yeah, for me... every time I turn this movie on, the opening scene is what I look forward to so much. Like, just, I love the Jedi, like, those are the Jedi fighters. That's what the Jedi use. Mm-hmm. These little ships that just maneuver like crazy. I love seeing Anakin in a cockpit because that's what he does.
And he's a
that's
pilot.
What he's so good at.
One of the best in the galaxy.
And he has all these tricks up his sleeve. You know, the spinning with the rockets coming and helping Obi-Wan fly into the ship. It's so cool to see. And it's really cool because, like, you see them flying together when it first opens up, and then they dip down, and it's just giant war going on.
Yeah.
Like, just craziness above Coruscant or wherever they are.
Coruscant,
So that's a really cool scene. I mean, like you both have mentioned, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is just fantastic. He easily the best thing about the prequels. He gave great performances in all three movies. His evolution as a character was great. And I thought the back and forth between him and Anakin was great. I love the scene between them when they get back onto the planet. When Anakin's like, "Oh, I saved you one more time." He's like, "Now we're even." He's like, "No, I saved you on this planet." And it's like Anakin's always saving Obi-Wan from some kind of disaster.
Right.
So that's really cool to see, and it kind of just goes back and forth, and that's kind of what made the change at the very end of the movie so difficult to watch because these two were brothers. Like, they grew up together. Obi-Wan trained him since he was a little kid, and to see that twist at the very end, it's very emotional. You know, you guys were talking about the Plagueis scene where they're talking about Plagueis and Palpatine and Anakin, but there's also another scene in that courtroom that is probably the best line in the movie, where Padme says, "So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause." Mm-hmm. That line is so good.
Yeah.
And it came at the perfect time, and to come from her is huge too. I thought it was the best line in the movie. It had such a good impact, and it came at the perfect time. I thought Natalie Portman as Padme was really good too, the best she had been in all three movies. We didn't see her in action as much. We saw her more as a politician, which was good.
And
to
that's
see.
what she should be doing.
Yeah,
she should not be involved in the action.
Yeah, so she's solid as a politician. Although, you know, too much Jar Jar, of course. But And the Mustafar scene for me is huge. I've said it before. I can quote that entire scene. It's so good. The action is insane. The choreography for the fighting. I don't understand, like, you know, kind of going to every place on the planet. But, I mean, I don't care. I just like seeing lightsaber battles. And the talk of between Obi-Wan and Anakin, when Anakin's like, you don't know my power, the kind of power I have. And Obi-Wan's like, don't try it. And he just cuts off all his limbs. Like, that's crazy. That impact is so insane. And now we know why Darth Vader is Darth Vader and what happened and all that. And it's just, I mean, I really do enjoy the movie. Yeah, I put it above Return of the Jedi personally. When we can get into that later on in the next podcast. But
yeah, another one of my positives is just the whole Mustafar scene.
Yeah,
like I actually didn't even mind Padme's breaking my heart thing because
it led up to it.
It made sense because he's literally breaking her heart. Like, he's turning to the dark side, and she doesn't want to see that happen. Obviously, maybe the dialogue.
It's always been like that one moment where I'm just like, it just kind of like gets to
but like
you, you know?
I feel like she's devastated, and they had to show it somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it was the delivery. I don't know.
I thought it was good too. I mean, it was a bit strange. I mean, a little bit just because of Hayden Christensen, but I thought it was good. And I thought Obi-Wan showing up at the perfect time was just.
No, I have some problems with that scene, but I didn't think she was the problem necessarily.
And I also love the Yoda Palpatine battle. Those two going at it.
You know, that was cool to see.
The greatest Jedi versus the greatest Sith.
Yeah,
the two of them going at it. That's pretty
we had
insane.
to see that at least once.
And seeing Yoda go full Yoda on him is pretty cool, even though he got beat. It's pretty good. I mean, there's a ton of things to like about the movie. A lot of positives. It's by far the best prequel in my mind. And it's a great lead-in, I mean, even though there are a bunch of negatives, and we'll get into that. But so those are our positives. We're going to jump into our negatives now, and I'm going to shoot it back to Jacob. So any major negatives that stand out to you? I'm sure there's a couple, but
yes, I mean,
any that won't get you too riled up.
There's a few things, but this has the least flaws in any of the movies.
It has a 83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive for a prequel.
Yeah.
Like, most critics admit that it's the most watchable of the prequels. Like, and it is. I mean, you take Jar Jar out of Phantom Menace, I love that movie, but it's like this movie is legit. It has the least flaws, but there are flaws, and there's things that really bother me. And it's something I mentioned about in Attack of the Clones. They freaking, even though we get to see Anakin and Obi-Wan working together for 45 minutes opening the movie, after that, never again. They separate, they go on their own missions again. Obi-Wan goes after Grievous. I forget what Anakin does. He
stays at.
He has to spy on Palpatine, right? They ask him to spy on Palpatine.
Windu asked.
So this trilogy, like, George Lucas didn't come out and say this, but we were supposed to see Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship, similar to what we see in Clone Wars, like you said. But in Attack of the Clones, different missions, guys. Revenge of the Sith, different missions. Like, I wanted to see them work together, and they separate them again, which really upset me.
Well, if you think about it, though, I mean, in Revenge of the Sith, he kind of he doesn't become a Master Jedi, but he becomes a Jedi.
But I still want to see them working together, even if it's not Master Padawan. Like, Jedi still go on missions together.
Yeah, but a lot of them, because it's the Clone Wars, they go on.
They lead in their own squadron and stuff. Yes. But I mean, they were working together in the beginning of the movie.
It's Obi-Wan and Commander Cody. Like, those two go hand in hand.
But they were working together in the begining of the movie. Why can't we see more of that?
But that was before he became a Jedi.
Yeah. Well, either way, like, my worst complaint of the whole prequels is the romantic elements between him and Padme. I don't mind romance, but it just was not executed well. And there's not as much in this movie, but like the scenes before Anakin turns to the dark side and they're talking to each other, like, I don't know where they are, they're sitting on a couch or something, and like, just the dialogue is just horrible. All the dialogue between Padme and Anakin is just, in these movies, are horrible, and that continued in this movie for me. And my biggest issue is, and this happens in a lot of movies and TV shows and just storytelling in general. So Anakin's main obsession is Padme, right?
Pretty much.
He wants to. That's his whole
Well,
motivation.
yes, he wants to save her.
I don't
yes.
mind that. I don't mind that that's his motivation. But, so, he wants to be with her. He wants her to live. But, he knows if, like, and he's supposed to know Padme, like, know who she is and know what she wants and what she likes. And he should know that going to the dark side, he's going to lose her. But I know he's blinded, but all these things, so he thinks by going and slaughtering kids and turning on the Jedi and doing all this, that she's going to want to be with him after that. And he still goes and does all this stuff. Like, I don't understand. Like, maybe the dark side's just taking over. It's too powerful and it's blind. It's taking over his whole thought process in his mind, but it doesn't make sense. And he starts choking her on Mustafar. Like, that's the love of your life. And she's pregnant with your babies.
The dark side's getting him.
You start choking her. You think she's going to be with you. So what's the point of keeping her alive if she's not going to be with you? Like, and if the dark side is so powerful, then
it just shows why they didn't grant him rank of Master Jedi.
Well, yeah, I mean, on that point, it goes back to showing how much Anakin, how underused he feels to the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
You know, he's more his craving for power overcomes his love for Padme and saving her. He just wants that power.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
He wants
that
to
makes sense.
Recognized,
But the reason he even is going for the power is for her, and everything's about Padme.
Right.
Everything, and it doesn't make sense to me why he would do so many things that would make Padme not want to be with him. Do you guys disagree with me? Like,
No,
I got you.
No, I totally get you.
I'm just wondering because I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I mean, obviously it is different. It's a little bit weird to see him make that turn, and it may have been forced just because the ending of the movie is supposed to end with him as Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So it may have been a forced
Like
situation.
rushed, not forced, but maybe rushed.
Rushed, yeah. Rushed. That's probably a better word.
No, I see. Yeah, and I mean those are my main negatives. Like, there's really not a lot of bad things in this movie, honestly, and it's weird. As time goes on, I start appreciating this movie a lot more, and it has to do with how atrocious the first two are. Because that's what I was telling Gio earlier, actually. The reason Revenge of the Sith looks so good is because the other two are so bad.
Well, it's like we talked about with Spectre. The reason we don't like Spectre is because Skyfall was so good.
So it all has to do with expectations. Like, so yeah, those are my main negatives.
Gio, what do you got, man? I know you got some.
Well, this might be my favorite movie, but that doesn't mean I'm going to excuse some of the stuff that bothers me. I'll talk about the Anakin's thing real quick. His fall is, without a doubt, rushed and somewhat unbelievable. I mean, just some of the stuff that he does, his quick turnaround, and then he's so willing to do things like destroy the Jedi. Power. You want Padme power? You got to destroy the Jedi. What? Okay. And then after that, I think it's too quick. Maybe if they would have established a little bit more of that into episode 2. You know, because I know George Lucas had an idea for episode 2. But, I mean, I don't know. It's rushed. And for all the reasons that Jacob says, too. You know, and it's unbelievable because it's like, come on. You're really going to do all this for Padme?
Well, I mean,
what in your right mind thinks?
So if you think about it, like Palpatine's telling him all this stuff about how he can save her and, immortality and all this kind of stuff. And then Mace Windu comes in and is like, okay, you're the Sith Lord, I'm coming after you, blah, blah, blah. If he's trying to save Padme, the turn is kind of almost believable because he needs to save Palpatine for that reason. So it kind of makes it almost a little bit believable.
Yeah.
Because
one more negative. Palpatine's little twist and jump.
Yeah,
stupid.
That was dumb. But, I mean, he may not have, he wasn't in his right mind, obviously, because he all of a sudden, they cuts Windu's hand off. And then Palpatine finishes him off.
Well, he struggles in doing that. You see it in his face. He doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. So to me, it is a little bit believable just because he did struggle with it, and it wasn't so quick. It was like, okay, I did this because he has the answers to what I want, not just because. I mean, he wanted Palpatine gone, obviously, but then Palpatine's like, I can save your wife or your girlfriend, whatever she is.
Yeah.
So
I just realized this. Mace Windu could have killed the Emperor, right? He could have killed Palpatine, right?
He was killing him until Anakin cut his hand off.
And that's crazy that Mace Windu could have taken out the Emperor right there.
Yeah, but Anakin cut his hand off.
Yeah. If Anakin wasn't there,
he's gone.
There you go.
Or if Anakin would have arrived a few seconds earlier and sees Palpatine with a red lightsaber, it's like, okay, clearly this guy is evil.
But I don't even know if that would have helped.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think
because
it would have.
he even said, Anakin already told Mace Windu, I think he's the Sith Lord we've been searching for. That's what sends Windu over there. Mm-hmm. So I think he already knew that.
Well, actually, they were already going over there, but...
Were they?
Because
But I know Anakin
he
had
just got
mentioned-
word that General Grievous was killed, so we're making sure
that's
that
right.
he transfers the power.
But Anakin does tell him that I think he's the Sith Lord we've been searching for.
At first, Anakin's trying to do the right thing. He really is spying on Palpatine,
But then Palpatine twists his mind up. That's what
Had
it is.
Anakin have gone with Mace Windu in the first place, would that have happened
No.
differently, you think?
No. And if Mace Windu and the Jedi, I guess the Jedi Order, but mainly Mace Windu hadn't shut him out. They said, no, you need to stay here.
Yeah.
They shut him out. They didn't want him going.
That was kind of a negative too, is because like you have the Jedi doing everything like in their power to piss Anakin off, and Palpatine's doing everything in his power. It almost kind of seemed too easy, Jedi is telling them this, Palpatine's telling them this. It's just it
very,
kind of eating into
very convenient.
Yeah, a
very-
beat for beat type
to
thing.
the point where it's convenient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of? We haven't really talked about Mace Windu at all in these 3 reviews. What do you guys think about him in general as a character?
I liked him.
Yeah.
I thought he was a cool.
I liked him. Yeah.
No,
Because
he was cool. I liked him too.
he was Yoda's second-hand man,
Mm-hmm.
but he countered him because sometimes he wouldn't agree. He was a very
Oh,
different
yeah,
type of Jedi.
No, he wasn't a bad character at all, and I
Yeah.
love when he kills Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, he
I thought
cuts his
that's
head off.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, he's at his best.
But
point.
did Samuel L. Jackson take you guys out of the movie a little bit?
No,
not for
because
me,
back then I didn't know who Samuel L. Jackson was.
I did, but what about watching it now? Does it?
No, it's fine with me.
You see him as Mace Windu?
It's totally because he's.
No, that's cool because you never hear anyone really say anything bad or good about Mace
Well,
Windu.
and in these Star Wars movies, he's not acting like the normal Samuel Jackson stuff that we see from him.
That's true. He's
It's
acting like a wise
different-
Jedi.
Very different kind of Samuel Jackson
No,
from what we've seen.
You're right. You're right. I was just curious because
No.
we never talk about Mace Windu. So
Yeah, I think he's a great character, but I don't think he should get his own spin-off movie.
no, and of course not.
A couple negatives. Let's run this down. Mace Windu versus Palpatine. Badass intro. Mace Windu walks in, all Samuel Jackson like, with 3 Jedis behind him. They're walking up. They all activate their lightsabers. Palpatine does the twist and jump, and then 3 Jedis go down immediately. 3 Jedi Masters go down immediately. Like we're talking about like one
He's the
swing.
Emperor,
Boom.
bro.
I know, but
Come
like.
on, it's fucking.
It either shows how powerful Palpatine is, which he clearly isn't, because how many times should he have died in this movie? But then it shows how weak the Jedi Council really were, Like, come on.
I agree with you.
One swing and 3 swings, and one of them goes down. Kid Fisto, the green
And, like,
one with the
Kid
with the
Fisto,
braid.
he's one of the strongest Jedi to ever live, and he goes down like that.
And you would think while Palpatine's if Mace Windu's so powerful, he's able to defeat Palpatine by himself. Then while Palpatine's killing those other Jedi, why couldn't Mace Windu take him down real quick? It's just
I know that just bothered me. It's
Well,
like
that's like what we talked about was rushed.
yeah.
They wanted to get the fact that Mace
it was
Windu's gonna
such
die.
a badass intro. You see all 4 of them activate their lightsabers at one time. It's like, oh,
When it's
Palpatine's
cheesy too,
going.
because Palpatine's stabs him, and the guy's like,
No.
it tips over. It's like,
I was like, come on, I wanted to see a better fight than this. And speaking of fights, how about General Grievous with his 4 lightsabers? How awesome was that to see him just activate 4 lightsabers?
is that a negative?
No, the negative
Oh.
was the fight a little bit. Like he's swinging 2 lightsabers, and then in the back you see him twirling the other 2, and it's just like, what are you doing? Just attack, Don't do this for showmanship.
Well, that's George Lucas.
Yeah.
Just wanted to show something cool.
Yeah. It was kind of like, okay, all right, General Grievous.
Well, he had a cool character. He's like, I'm gonna show him off a little bit.
Right, yeah. I was just like,
And
I'm not impressed.
That book that I was talking about, because they're going after Grievous, he's a total badass.
I love that Obi-Wan had to use the blaster to kill him though.
Yeah, he goes like, what did he say? He goes,
Doesn't he talk shit about blasters?
he's like stupid weapons or something like. He says something like.
Does he
it's
say
like,
it after that or
Yeah, he
before?
says after he's shot, he throws it down. He's like, stupid weapon.
No, he
that,
goes-
that weapon saved your life.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, so uncivilized.
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah,
uncivilized. That's
yeah.
what it is.
This is my movie, you guys.
Yes,
Come
that's
on,
what it
man.
is. Exactly. Good call, man.
Let's keep talking about fights. How about Yoda bailing on Sidious after he has Sidious beaten? Why are you gonna run away? Your lightsaber's like 20 feet away from you on the floor.
Dude, that guy just took a fall from like 500 feet up.
But still,
And he hit whatever, and then he fell on the ground.
so
like,
Yoda's
that guy's old.
So
He's
Yoda,
thousands of years old.
Yoda's more concerned about living than potentially defeating Sidious and sacrificing his
Maybe
life.
he realized that he wasn't gonna beat him.
And they can sense things, like
Well, I don't
remember
know,
like
because-
Obi-Wan knows he's gonna die soon in The New Hope. Like maybe Yoda sensed like I'm gonna lose this fight because they can sense, the Jedi's can sense stuff.
Yoda had him so many times.
Yeah, but he fell from.
And
like
all
40
Yoda could have done was grab the upper seats where the Senate hangs and use the Force and bring them all down. Hell, Yoda. If I was Yoda, I'd be like, take me with you. As long as you die, I don't mind dying.
Yeah, but you gotta remember that Sidious, he's the Sith Lord, like the Sith Lord.
Yeah, for a Sith Lord, he's pretty. I mean, the best thing he can do is manipulate people, but that's it. Like Mace Windu almost took him down. Yoda pretty much almost took him down. I don't know. All right. How about? All right. We thought the droids were weak in Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. They are laughably weak in this movie, especially in the beginning. Like, all right, so they enter Grievous's hangar. And they're taking the Jedi's, the droids down, and then, like, it cuts to some droids falling, and then they're not even hit or nothing. They just fall and go, ah. And then R2-D2 manages to take out 2 super battle droids with oil.
Because R2-D2 is a badass.
Cool moment, but, like, okay, like, these droids are weak. And then Count Dooku, when he has...
Hey, R2's a droid, too. Badass droid.
I guess.
R2's not just that guy's like that guy. See, he's a person.
And then
He is a person.
And then right before the clones turn on Obi-Wan, you just see these clones wailing on these droids, with their machine guns and all that. It's like these droids are they're just.
Well, they're scrap metal.
Yeah, pretty
that's
much.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
They're like any other army. They're just there for numbers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What else? Okay, so there's a deleted scene in The Revenge of the Sith where, and I think I showed you this, Jacob, where Senator Organa and Padme are kind of starting the rebellion. It's a deleted scene where there's like a group of senators and they're like, okay, we need to do something about this because this republic that we're serving is clearly not the same. I've started an organization, whatever. So I would have loved to see more of the start of the rebellion, whereas the film focused too much on the Empire, the rise of the Empire, and then we leave Revenge of the Sith going into A New Hope, just like, oh, okay, this rebel organization might have started. I would have loved to see more of the start of the rebels in Episode 3. I mean, that's just a negative for me. If you guys watch the deleted scene, you'll see what I'm talking about.
but I mean, it is a long time before. Like anything really, I mean, everything kind of just creeped up on him. Like Anakin switching sides, Sidious popping up out of nowhere, the Jedi being terminated.
It goes back to everything being rushed because you're trying to fit so much into a movie.
Yeah.
Um,
You got a lot of negatives.
I have a list.
I thought it was your favorite episode.
Favorite Star Wars.
Yeah, I
movie.
thought it was his favorite Star Wars movie.
Let's talk about the dialogue a little bit. I'm gonna say some stuff, and these are things that bothered me. Okay, number one, the obvious. It's over, Anakin. I had the high ground. Right? That was terrible, right?
That's a great. What are you talking about? That's great.
Oh.
That's great.
And then there's a moment where Anakin goes, "You will not take her from me," and it's just like, what do you? No, like that was not convincing. It's like he's all having his death stare and everything, and then let's see. All right, Anakin Skywalker, you are so beautiful. Padme, it's only because I'm so in love. Anakin, no,
I think it's the scene you were talking about.
It's because I'm so in love with you.
I think that's the scene you were talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know the exact dialogue,
Yeah,
but that
that's
is horrible.
Padme.
That is that might be the worst line I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's just
I'm not even exaggerating.
So love has blinded you? That's not what I meant.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that whole
That's
entire
so
thing, I'm
bad.
just like, oh god. And then the
She's
last,
beautiful because she's in love with him. What?
it's only because I'm so in love with. Oh god. Yeah. Well, I didn't have time to collect more, but and then the last thing I'll mention is how Padme dies. She's lost the will to live. What? I mean, I've never in any of the 6 films anybody died because they just lost the will to live. You kidding me?
Anakin broke her heart, man. You never heard of a broken heart killing somebody?
Not in Star Wars?
This is a Star Wars universe, though. I mean, they do have what's called the Force.
I thought it was an easy way just to kill Padme. Oh, George Lucas is like, all right, we need to kill Padme because she doesn't appear in Episode 4. And
You know why that's a negative also, but it's because of something that happens in the future. In Return of the Jedi, Leia says she remembers her mom.
Well, she could be talking about Senator
No,
Organa's.
she's talking about her birth mother.
Yes, she does say that. She does say that.
She says she remembered her mom.
She remembers how beautiful she was.
And her mom died right when she was born.
Yeah,
Right.
she remembers how beautiful she
Well,
was.
maybe the Leia looked at her mom as a baby. And
No, George Lucas came out and said he didn't care about.
He
about
wanted
that.
he wanted that ending. That's what he wanted.
He didn't care about messing up the timeline or whatever.
See, that just goes to show George.
Yeah, stubborn.
And last thing, I would have loved
Love
to
him,
see. I would have loved to see more of Senator Organa. It goes back to me talking about how I would have liked to see a little bit more of the rebels, their origins, their start, their seedings. Because Organa, every scene that he's in, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was pretty good. I like that actor. He's in Sons of Anarchy.
I
What
hope
if-
I hope he returns for Rogue One.
Yeah, what if he's in Rogue One?
Oh, that
I
would be
would love to see him
awesome.
in Rogue
Felicity
So,
Jones'
is that
dad.
all your negatives?
That's all that I had time to collect. So y'all
Jesus,
lucky.
man.
Y'all
And that's your favorite Star Wars movie?
like I said, I still love it. I have the
think
emotional
you gave
connection.
more negatives
Than positives.
than any of our reviews for the Star
Yeah.
Wars movies.
It's
so
only
far.
because I'm so attached to it that.
But sometimes
there
you
are-
like
there are a couple
analyze the things you love the most
Yeah.
more. You know.
Well, I mean, for me, there aren't a ton of negatives. I'm like Jacob. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy the film, and it's there's not really a lot of bad things. Obviously, the thing with Padme at the end, how in Return of the Jedi, Leia knows her mom. But Padme dies. That's a big one. There are a couple dialogue issues here and there. You know, like we talked about the fight with Mace Windu and Palpatine with all the number of Jedi dying. That is a big. I've always wondered why it happened like that. Especially as a kid, I'm just like, they seem like they died so easily, and they're supposed to be Jedi.
I know, right? They just get shot and they die.
Yeah,
Like they
so-
can't block. We've seen Anakin and
Yeah,
Obi-Wan block so many blaster shots.
I mean, those are the main negatives for me. It's a very enjoyable film for me. So now we're gonna jump into our feelings about the film today compared to when we first saw the movie. For me, it's still it's very enjoyable. I still enjoy watching it. I look forward to watching it every time I see it on TV or popping it in the Blu-ray player. I'm looking forward to watching it before the Force Awakens comes out. It's the best prequel. It has a lot of great action. It cuts out the love story a little bit. There's still a little bit there. It's a great finish to the prequel. I thought it wrapped up everything nicely, getting into Episode 4 and leading into other things like Rebels and we didn't know at the time, but Rebels and Rogue One and stuff like that. So expect to see maybe a little bit of mentions from Revenge of the Sith in like something like Rogue One or Rebels down the line. I mean, because it is the closest one to that movie besides Episode 4. So Jacob, I mean, what do you think about the movie now compared to when you did 10 years ago?
Well, I'm able to recognize that it is the best prequel, and when I was a kid, I wouldn't have been able to realize that because, like I said, I didn't know what was good, what was bad, what good dialogue was. But it does get the reward for worst line in any Star Wars movie. Those lines you just read.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations, Revenge of the Sith. But no, it's. Look, I don't even want to say. I don't think it's a good movie. I don't. But it's not a bad movie. It's decent. And I think, like I said earlier, I think the reason people think it's... I'm not saying you're wrong for thinking it's a good movie. Like that's your opinion. But I think the reason it gets the least hatred is because it's a lot better than the other two. So, like, it makes it look better. So,
Yeah.
And that's something I've realized. But, no, overall, I still do enjoy it. And I might agree with you on it being better than Return of the Jedi, but then, like, there's things in Return of the Jedi I really don't like, but, like, the end of Return of the Jedi is so great, so it kind of, it's back and forth with me.
It is back and forth with me, but
Like,
yeah,
it's
almost a tie.
yeah, in a way. So, yeah, I recognize its flaws more so now, but it's an enjoyable film, and I mean, I enjoy watching any Star Wars movie, but like whenever I restart the prequel trilogy, I love watching Phantom Menace. I'm like, let's hurry up, get over Attack of the Clones, and then I'm so excited to watch Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So that's how I view this film now.
What about you, Gio?
10 years later, I still feel the same type of emotions I felt when I walked in, where bad shit's going to happen. The Jedi are going to fall. Anakin's going to turn to the dark side, and, the birth of Luke and Leia. It's going to be a very emotional, heavy, dark film. And I still get that feeling today. Like this past week when I was watching the movie, I was just like, here we go. All right. Because I love the Jedi so much. They're amazing. Mace Windu, one of my favorite characters. So for all the imperfections and whatnot, I'm still attached to this movie very much because it is the best out of the prequels. It was a time where I grew up and, Star Wars was, offering something new for people in my generation, and it's the film that hits the most out of the three. I could still watch it anytime I want. Well, obviously, but I mean, anytime it's on, I immediately want to watch it, and so I love it. I mean, not the best movie ever. It has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is something I agree on. So you think you legitimately think it's a good movie? I think it's a good movie.
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. Not great,
no,
not
I don't
terrible,
blame you for that.
Not bad. Good.
I think it's right under being good.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, that'll wrap up our Revenge of the Sith talk.